last one. Hopefully this isn't smoke. Please don't be broken. It looks like this one solenoid right here, it looks like it's cracked. And then this whole pack back here looks like it's cracked as well. It'll fall out, so let's just pull her out. Come on, come out of there. I might have lucked out. It doesn't look like the case is cracked. And then if it's just this, I could pull the valve body down. And I have plenty of valve bodies over there, luckily enough. So I could rob this piece of plastic and a solenoid off of that. Valve bodies in the HELLCATs are really simple to remove. The hardest part is getting this little plastic connector out of the transmission, but there is a trick to do it. All you have to do is after you pull the pin out, you just reclip the harness in and then just pull it out. All it has is an O-ring seating it, and it's almost impossible to grab it on the edge and pull it out. And then it's just a bunch of bolts and some harness that you have to disconnect. So what I'm planning on replacing is this right here, this piece of plastic, which should be the same as this SXT one that's right here. The body is now all the way back together. Hopefully she's going to work, but I had to rob a few parts off another valve body. I thought I had a spare SXT charger one laying around that was damaged, but I think I actually sold it. So I ended up robbing this as well as the solenoid, and I thought I could replace just the solenoid cap, but once you pop these off, I guess they don't clip back on. You would think they would because they have this little retaining clip, but for some reason they don't. So I just swapped the solenoid, put everything back together. This harness was good, and this plastic is now good. It really didn't damage anything. The solenoid probably would have functioned perfectly fine, and all I really did was fix a bunch of cosmetic issues and hopefully peace of mind. Hopefully everything is going to be good now. So let's throw this back up in the transmission. I've already brake cleaned everything in there just to make sure there wasn't any grime. A little mistake on the transmission when I put the other piece of plastic in here. So I forgot that the transmission control module is in all of this plastic. So it looks kind of, actually not kind of, so it looks like this. There's a processor right here, and this is the transmission control module. And I had this piece of plastic right here that's broken. I removed it. It's a real pain to get out. This is pretty much going to save any HELLCAT owner that doesn't want to buy a valve body. So this transmission control module comes with a valve body, and I don't know what it is with Dodge, but they think the valve body, and they don't sell this transmission control module separate. The only module in the car that they don't sell separate, it's almost $4,000. So that's why I'm fixing it instead of buying a brand new one, because if it was like 500 bucks, I'd buy one and then just have it programmed. The issue is I can't program the V6 one that's in the car because it already has a VIN assigned to it. I could send the ECU off to HB Tuners, and I probably could then go and flash the correct TCM on this chip, but for the time being, I really don't want to do that. And there's really nothing else wrong with this. So let's pull that transmission control module off that valve body, and then I'm going to just replace this piece of plastic. So there are two little feet right here, and they go through on the back, and you can see the holes. There's one there, and there's one there. You have to actually grind those off. So just make sure that you get those off and don't do any of the ones for the processor. And then there are some clips. So each one of these right here, you just go and you just push it back after you get those out, and you get all these tabs pushed in with screwdrivers. So there's one here, there's one here, one here, one here, and there's I think there's 6 of them. So then all you do is then you get those tabs, and then you push these back and you lift it up, and then there's also 3 tabs that are clipped onto this. So it's a real pain to get this piece of plastic off good. So I haven't got one off yet. So I'm going to be successful, but it's just kind of irritating that Dodge doesn't sell this one module out of all of the modules that they sell for the car, especially since it's a module that has to be programmed and it's VIN specific. So I think they're all the same, but once they're programmed, they're programmed. So I don't think there's any issues besides that, but this is the one that came out of the transmission. We'll fix it and get it back in, and then we shouldn't have any more issues, because right now it's seeing an issue with the VIN, and then it's not letting me turn it off. So it'll start, it'll run, it goes into gear, but it has a V6 calibration, so it shifts really weird to bleed the transmission. I got the tranny to bleed, but it's just really weird. And then when you go to turn the car off, it says transmission's not in park, so it won't actually go to key off. The engine will shut off, but it just stays and runs. So let's get this all dialed in, and it should go pretty quick, and then we could get everything back together and get fluid in it, and then it should, besides the exhaust, it should actually be able to drive now. I now have the TCM all back together, fixed, ready to go, and hopefully this solves the issue where it won't key off and where it's having some weird transmission issue. Let's put this back on the valve body, and hopefully it fixes a problem. And if it does, I didn't have to spend $4,000 for a valve body just for this part right here. The transmission is now all back together, and I put enough tranny fluid in for the starting procedure. Since I pulled the valve body, a lot of fluid starts to drain out of the torque converter, plus all of the fluid that's already in the oil galleys for the valve body drains out because you flip it upside down. So you have to restart the procedure. Let's lower this down, and it should be kind of a sign if I could key the car on, start it, turn it off, and then I could turn the car all the way off, is what I'm hoping, since now it's the original transmission control module in there. I have to plug the battery back in since it wouldn't turn off. This is the moment of truth. Let's key her on. Okay. We go to run. And that didn't have any issues before. Turn the fan off. Oh, it works! Yes! So now we should be good to go. This is awesome. This was, oh my gosh, I'm so happy about this. Bleed procedure on the transmissions. I verified it still is full. So the thing with these transmissions is, and I don't know why ZF does it, but what they do is they have it so when you have it in the bleed procedure, it's to the correct level at the fill plug. But if I pulled the fill plug right now when it's cold, a bunch of fluid is going to come out because it's way above the fill plug level when it's cool and off and everything has settled. So I don't know why ZF didn't just put the fill plug higher up on the transmission, so then you just filled it to the correct level when it was cold and didn't have to do this stupid procedure. But I already cracked the fill plug loose. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the car and then I'm going to do the procedure. The first step of the transmission bleed procedure, you want the vehicle 8 inches off the ground because the rear wheels are going to actually have to move and spin. So you don't want it to hit the ground and then drive off the lift or do something weird. So 8 inches, it could be more, could be less. You're going to have to lift it all the way up to fill the transmission. But now let's go into the car and then do the rest. Steps of the transmission bleed procedure, you apply the brake, you put it in reverse, hold it for 5 seconds, then you go into drive, hold it for 5 seconds, you release the brake, then accelerate to second gear, hold that for 5 seconds, then you put the car in neutral, and then you rev it to 2000 RPM for 5 seconds, and then you leave it in neutral, and then you raise the car, and then you fill the transmission. You have to do all this from 86 degrees to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So make sure that you're not doing it when it's super hot. And usually when you first start the car, it's at least around 86 during the summer. So I would just 86 to 122, make sure you follow these instructions, because if you don't, then you're not going to properly bleed the transmission. I want to say this before the car is on, it's loud and you guys can't really hear what I'm saying. So let's do this really quick. And we should probably have to add, I'd say maybe a quart. This is the sketchy part. You have to do all this while it's running. Also, when you're lowering the lift down, you can see the rear wheels are still spinning. That's because the transmission is neutral, but that also means it still has power to the wheels in some sort. So don't lower the lift all the way down until you apply the brake, put it in park, because you could have it fall off the lift just because the tires grab the ground, depending on how sticky they are. Make sure your tires are all the way completely stopped and the transmission has equalized before you put it in park, because it could slam into gear still. Now we're going to turn the car off, and she has a full transmission, and even though it was full before, it was a quart low, almost a quart low. So that means that if I took this to a drag strip and went down a bunch of different passes, it could have actually sucked all the transmission fluid out of the pan and then ran dry and blew up the transmission. So luckily enough, I'm kind of OCD about stuff like this. What I want to do is take the car for a test drive and actually go through the gears, because I haven't really done that yet, because I knew I wanted to fill the transmission before I did that, and I wanted to burn some of the old gas, which kind of made sense on both parts. All right, let's go take her for a little test drive. I'll probably do some moderate, well, probably not super hard pulls, but oh yeah, the popping's gone on the strut, which is nice. Of course there's going to be a right there. Of course there's going to be a cop. Uh-oh. That didn't sound good. Oh, is that traction control, I think, is what's going on there. Ah, that's not what I want. Track. Feeling better. Feeling way better. The subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.